Welcome back to the Manc Entrepreneur YouTube channel, and in today's episode I'm going to be getting a little bit political and talking to you about the situation we have with next week's general election here in the UK. So as hopefully you will know, next week on the 8th, I believe, is it the 8th? It's a Thursday. Yes, the 8th of June, the UK has a general election in which we vote for who we want to basically be our Prime Minister, be the leader of our country. And a big problem that I have right now is I don't really like any of them. And that's just a sad reflection on politics. In yesterday's video I talked about universities, and I let you know that I went to university and studied politics for 3 years, and I did 2 years at college, and I left university knowing that I'd never wanted to go into politics professionally, just due to the sort of corrupt, horrendous nature of it. From my opinion, that's my opinion, not based on any facts, I'm sure. But it amazes me, and you know, people always seem to be slagging off young people, saying that you have the vote, you can make a difference. Have you looked at the choice that we have? It's horrendous, and I don't blame young people for not wanting to vote. There's absolutely no one who represents me, represents young people as a whole. Why the hell would we? You know, you look at... Let's break this down. There's only two potential winners in the general election next week: Theresa May or Jeremy Corbyn. I've got a website up here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parties, some of which I've never heard of before. And on your ballot sheet you'll probably get, you'll see a list of parties and logos, and I guarantee some of them you'll have never seen before. And the reality is that 8 of them do not have a chance of becoming Prime Minister. A couple of them have a chance of maybe having a sway if there's a hung parliament, which you may remember happened a few years ago when the Lib Dems and Tories had to band together in order to become the ruling party, and that didn't go down too well. It pretty much killed off the Lib Dems because Nick Clegg had to go against a load of promises he'd made in order to keep Big Dave happy, and yeah, ultimately it's not going to work. Those parties did not have much in common, and not much really got done as a result of it. So you're stuck with Corbyn or Theresa May, and that is your choice. And for anyone who says differently, I would strongly disagree with you. Those pretty much are your two choices, and that is mainly down to the political voting system that we use, which is the first past the post voting system. It is horrendously swayed in favour of the two largest parties when it comes to how the seats within Parliament are distributed. Moving into something like a much more proportional representation system would make a lot more sense and would be a lot fairer and would give much more proportional representation, hence the name. However, it's never going to change because the two ruling parties, Tories and Labour, win using first past the post. So why would they ever change it if they know that's how they can win? So it's never going to change. We have first past the post, which means we've pretty much got a two-party system for the time being. And yeah, I can't blame young people, for not wanting to vote, because at the last general election, UKIP was sort of making a storm up the charts, and Cameron had to come out and say, right, we'll give you a damn referendum for leaving Europe, if that's what you want. And then Farage left UKIP, who was sort of like the poster boy for UKIP. He was the person that most people thought was like a real person they could sort of relate to in a way, if you were, poor working class sort of background. He spoke to a lot of people. He didn't look like a career politician, which he wasn't. However, he left, and then Tories basically took UKIP's main selling point of the Brexit thing. And then DC left because he didn't really want to leave, and Theresa May pretty much got handed the poison chalice and said, right, you've got to try and make it work. So fair play to Theresa May. She's taken this job on in horrendous circumstances with and let's be honest, Theresa May didn't want to leave. She was part of the Remain group, so she's taken this job on something which she fundamentally did not agree with. But her argument is that her job is to do what the British people wanted. Can't argue with that. And then she called this rush general election mainly because Corbyn was looking weak and Labour was looking weak, and I think they had like a 15-point lead in opinion polls, and that now looks like it could be horrendous backfire because Labour has been storming ahead in the polls, not enough to overtake Conservatives just yet, but I mean there was a debate 2 days ago on TV and Corbyn came out better. Has to be said, he came out better. And this is the issue right now, and this is who represents you. Sorry, this side. Who represents you? Neither of those really represent me as a person, or me as like an entity, as a business person. And this is what it comes down to. Is that I would, as much as I'm sort of complaining right now that we don't have a choice. You do have a choice. You should vote. A lot of places in the world do not have the ability to vote, and that is something which would be a tremendous shame if we didn't utilise that right to vote. And I understand the problem in that nobody right now stands out as either A, a leader, or B, someone who is going to represent you. And I mean, you can listen to the taglines all you want, and I'll basically give you like my major problems with each party right now. The Tories, I think Theresa May, like I said, I respect her for the role that she's taken on. She agreed to become Prime Minister after Boris Johnson and Michael Gove both ran away. She's come in and she's taken on the nightmare flat, with the leaks and everything else. She's got problems and she's doing her best from what I can gather to try and fix it, and she says strong and stable a lot, which everybody needs a buzzword. Bush's was 9/11, and she's saying strong and stable a lot, and I think she's trying to model herself on Margaret Thatcher, which I'm guessing someone has told her to do, and I don't think it's necessarily working. She's not got the same personality as Margaret Thatcher. She just doesn't look as imposing and as mighty as Margaret Thatcher did. And of course, being the second female Prime Minister here in the UK, there is an element of expectation on that's how she has to be. She has to be basically a female in a male world and, kick some ass. However, there's a few things that I've seen about the Tories sort of, they're sneakily trying to bring fox hunting back in, which I horrendously disagree with. Talk of banning trying to stop the ban on ivory trade. I don't really see why she would do that. If that's true, I mean, I've not looked into it, so it could just be propaganda from Labour side. I don't know. There's talk of her trying to put more controls and on the internet and how that is used, which again, I fundamentally disagree with. Running an online business, I think any more controls on the internet is a bad thing. And yeah, there's a few things which I don't agree with. And also, like the NHS is a fantastic thing, and I cannot say that I'm not worried that the Tory government may see the end to the NHS, or certainly just pull it apart, pull it to pieces, that would be a horrendous thing to do. The NHS is fantastic, as are all the people who work in it. Now, then we go on to Labour, and I can't like Jeremy Corbyn. He's been very politically active for many years, and not always on what I would class as the right side for a future Prime Minister. He's almost been a little bit George Galloway-ish, hanging around with Hamas and the IRA, and at the peak of when we weren't getting on, and it's all a bit weird. I don't trust him. He doesn't look like a leader, and he doesn't strike me as someone who. The problem, right, the main thing in my head, and I could be way wrong, but this is my opinion, and I can only blame him and his party because this is the opinion that I have of him, is that I get the impression that he doesn't like Donald Trump. Fine, not many people do. However, I feel that from a negotiation standpoint, Theresa May is much better for us dealing with Brexit than Jeremy Corbyn will be. Because Jeremy Corbyn is going to want to try and become friendly with Europe. And, you know, not become friendly. He's going to be more pro-Europe than pro-America. And that's going to be a problem when we're trying to negotiate our divorce from Europe. Because they're going to see his kindness for weakness and then just try and take the piss. We're going to walk out with the worst negotiation offer on the table that we could possibly imagine. Again, I'm just hypothesizing. This is what I'm thinking. He's not going to get on with Trump, and he's that relationship we have with America is more likely going to get frostier rather than better. And in that regard, I think Theresa May is much better for handling the Europe thing, because Donald Trump seems to like Theresa May. He shook her hand, which is more than what you can say for Angela Merkel. So, and we went and told him off last week about the leaks from the security services to the New York Times, and he was on board with that. He didn't throw his toys out the pram. He seemed to understand that something had gone wrong and blamed the press, which I'm sure he was on board with. But I just can't. And I do think Theresa May is seen as much more of a formidable person within Europe than Jeremy Corbyn is. And I think we cannot be negotiating from a point of weakness. We have to be negotiating from a point of strength. And I think that is the key difference. I think with Theresa, we come from a much stronger position than we do with Corbyn. That is my sort of breakdown of this politics stuff. I try not to get too involved with it these days. But this is my sort of rundown of how I see it right now. And I'm sure people are going to watch this and think that I'm totally wrong. Another big concern of mine is when you look at Jeremy Corbyn's manifesto, we can't afford it. He says that the numbers work out. They don't. There's absolutely no way he can spend what he's saying he's going to spend and it not put us more into debt. It's exactly the same as Labour did years and years ago. Build more schools, build more hospitals, hire more people, and we'll tax the big businesses and the high earners. Guess what? It doesn't work, because all that happens is that the high earners, that top 5%, they're the ones who can afford to vote with their feet. They're the ones who can go move to Switzerland, go move to Cayman, go move to Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, wherever it may be, tax haven, and all of a sudden you'll get nothing from them. They'll spend 6 months out of the country so that they won't get charged tax. So his plan is flawed, his numbers won't add up, and the reality is that we're not going to attract big businesses to come and work here in the UK. And that's what I think the Tories, from a business point of view, the Tories makes much more sense to me. I'm not saying that I've already said I don't agree fully with everything that they're doing, and that's the problem, is that we have this terrible choice. We don't have a good choice right now. And I guarantee that you watching this, or at least someone you know, is literally going to vote for our next Prime Minister based on which one they hate the least. And they'll vote for them. Or they'll just, do a bullshit vote and vote for someone like the Green Party, or Respect, or Alliance, whoever they are. And, it's due to first past the post, it's a wasted vote. So that is my rundown of the state of politics here in the UK about a week out from the general election. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I don't like to get overly political because it can cause friction. I'm a big boy. I can take criticisms of anything that I've said. Let me know down below in the comment section. Again, if you want to get a debate going, I'm more than happy. You won't hurt my feelings at all. If you do not know who to vote for and you want a little bit of guidance, I'm going to put a link down below in the comments section. It's www.whoshallivotefor.com. I did a quick quiz on there. I'm not going to share the results with you, but it was quite accurate, really, for the type of person that I am and how I've voted in the past. So if you're unsure who to vote for, head over there, do the quiz, and it will break down for you the key points of their manifesto. And yeah, hopefully that will help. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. Normal service will be resumed tomorrow with more entrepreneurial or e-commerce content. But next week, I will warn you, there will be something about the new Prime Minister, for sure. Or the same Prime Minister. Ooh. Anyway, with that said, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you, as always, in the next video. Thank you for watching.